Welcome to Cinema Gulp. I'm Ben.
This is John.
And this is our Gulp review of It. In the long-running history of Stephen King adaptations, 2017's It is a pretty damn good one. I wouldn't say it's a flawless film, not at all. The film is long, the film's got good performances, and the film has one scary effing clown. John, what'd you think of It?
Yeah, well, they did a great job with Pennywise. I definitely think. I mean, he was already iconic the way it was played by Tim Curry. This is a new version of that people are going to remember for a long time. I think it's very effective. In fact, I even left the theater and kind of had visions of this Pennywise the clown when I was getting ready to go to bed, and when I woke up in the morning. It kind of sticks with you. There's definitely creepy imagery throughout the film that I think will stick with you. I wanted a bit more plot out of this movie. I feel like it goes from scare scene to scare scene to scare scene, and there's not a lot of meat in between. There's some character development with the kids, dealing with their fears, their home lives, their past, and things like that fills those gaps. I was a big fan of the 1990s TV miniseries, and I think they do a really good job of adding new scares that aren't the same ones you saw in that film, doing a really good job. I think the direction is done really well. The film also at times reminded me of the Conjuring movies, the two done by James Wan. I think he has very precise camera work to set up some of the scares that work better than what we saw in It. I kind of wanted a little bit more of that visceral scare factor. As a piece of filmmaking, I think they did a great job creating a good horror movie. It's hard to still bring that tension.
Andy Muschietti. I don't know how you say his name. Muschietti. I don't know where he's from. I thought it was interesting that you said James Wan, because for the scary stuff and Pennywise, I was thinking of his imagery a lot during this movie. This movie, It, is supposed to come with a little bit of that childhood wonderment. I feel that the reason the plot seemed thin, because I thought Tim Curry was great as kind of a Freddy Krueger-ish type of Pennywise. I liked this one a lot more because it scared the shit out of me, where Tim Curry didn't really scare me much. Not because he wasn't awesome, but because it was just a different take. I think that the miniseries worked better as a storytelling devices because it was interweaving the adults. It felt more like a story when you're being introduced to the adults, what their stake and everything is and where they came from, and then you're seeing their flashback, and then it kind of fits in with everything. I think because we know this is a 2-chapter film, I think maybe when the two come together in a box set or something, it'll feel like a Kill Bill thing where it's a completed story. The kid's story was a little thin. It was very awesome as far as nostalgia, Stranger Things shit, where it's kids on bikes, kids with walkie-talkies.
I really like the nostalgia that they brought to the film. I love these kind of other Stephen King films that have that same feel, like Stand By Me.
Well, Stand By Me was, when that movie came out, that was our parents' flashback to that time. That was their nostalgia.
Exactly. Another area that I think you really enjoyed that I kind of took some issue with was the performances by the kids. Only the girl was the only one that really stood out to me as kind of a believable performance. The rest were playing the kids the way that they're supposed to. I think that their characterizations come to life in the film, their personalities come to life, but I've always felt like I was watching child performances.
The actors were there, they were there to work, they were there to play, and I thought, especially, I think his name is Jack Dylan Grazer, who played Eddie, was really funny, and that was who he was supposed to be.
It was just something that wasn't very natural in their performances.
I think that you're absolutely right about Sophia Lillis. She was the standout of the movie, who played Beverly. I thought she's fantastic. She had some really gutsy, hard scenes to shoot that, involved her creepy as fuck dad that I thought was handled classy, but just really, really creepy.
Yeah, they just went to the edge of what you need to know about that character without actually fully going over that edge. 1 or 2 lines of dialogue from the father and a facial expression from the father that will creep you out for a decade is all you needed to know about what that relationship, what is happening in that whole situation.
Yeah. One of the things I like about this film, they could have so fucking easily gone PG-13, easily. I mean, I was actually thinking the whole time this was in production that they're going to announce a PG-13 rating. And when they didn't, I'm like, okay, cool. It's probably because of gore and maybe some scary imagery. But this movie is fucking dirty. And like, they have the kids. I appreciate kids cussing. I think it's hilarious.
I'm just fucking with you, Daddy. Fucking.
That brings you way back to the 80s when kids still have filthy mouths, but they just refuse to put it on movies movies and TV. I loved hearing these little shits cuss their brains out saying the F words every 2 seconds, and I thought that was a good decision. Because, yeah, the movie is gory. It's not overly gory. The opening scene is a nice ballsy scene to kind of set the standard for the film, I thought.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I agree with you. It's not overly gory, but it's effective in the moments it needs to be.
Right,
and
it's not gratuitous at all in that sense.
The various creature designs that you get throughout, which it's not always Pennywise that is on camera scaring you. There are other really scary images in this film, and I think they do a really good job with the makeup and the effects that go along with all that.
I thought the movie was scary. Like, it did it for me. It had scary shit in it, and I'm the same with you. I took a lot of the imagery home, especially, we won't give it away, but a slideshow presentation type of thing that happened was the imagery was really freaky. I thought Bill Skarsgård fucking crushed this movie.
Totally crushed it. I mean, he's every second he's on the screen, you're transfixed.
They didn't have him shooting off one-liners every 2 seconds.
What's the matter? One balloon, not enough.
He's kind of peppered in with dialogue, but it's more of his imagery than anything else.
I'm not sure exactly what they did on the makeup to get his mouth to look the way it does, but it's just so effective.
Yeah, the makeup department should get a nomination for everything this year.
But I think the filmmaking techniques and the scare factors were all there. I think that it lived up to what I was expecting in those areas.
I think it's a really, really well-made, fun, scary horror movie. Some of the biggest problems I had with the movie, and this is mostly from a storytelling point of view because they were pinned down to keeping it in the child era. I haven't read the book. Fuck that. It's like a gazillion pages. I'm never going to read that book. I understand from the other movie, from the 1990 movie, that it plays on childhood fears. That's how it feeds. I feel like it left that when everyone goes down there to face certain things, they don't have their own sort of trials that they go to. They kind of just face it. It's not as symbolic as I think it was meant to be. It's just sort of like, we have to defeat this. Now let's defeat it. Minor gripes for me because I really, really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was super fun. It was really scary. It was shot really well. It was paced well.
One thing I wish maybe we learned a little bit more about was Pennywise. I feel like the few scenes that deal with the history of the town, the history of Pennywise, were very forced. I still enjoyed the movie. I think it's an effective horror movie, and I would say for a Gulp score, I'm going to give this a 7.
I think it was a very effective horror movie. It had some good scares. Love the nostalgia factor. That's the big thing going on right now for some reason. Kids on bikes. Kids with CB radios. Kids saying fuck. Love it. I'm going to go ahead and give it 7 3/4 gulps.
Please let us know what you thought in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe and hit like.
You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr at Cinema Gulp as well. Until next time, this is Ben.
And this is John. We drink your cinema.